Yo, welcome back to the GM Podcast. I'm Miller, and today we're going to break down Week 14 of the NFL season. Gavin's not going to be here with us today. We'll see him soon. Don't worry. Let's start it off with the Detroit game that happened Thursday night. Well, first off, we're not going to go over every game because at this point in the season, we got games like Jacksonville and Tennessee. That is a game of all time. If you tune into that one, you're just bored. Same thing with Jets and Miami, honestly. There's nothing that those are two bad teams playing. I think those are two poverty franchises, honestly. Same thing with the Saints and the Giants. I mean, who is the Giants? I do have a question for the Giants, but yeah, this video will mostly be divided into certain questions about these games because there's a lot of teams that we don't care about anymore. So, all right, the Dan Campbell decision to go for it on fourth down at the end of the game. So what people have been talking about, I think he went for it like 5 times on fourth down on Thursday night. I honestly didn't mind a single one of them that Dan Campbell went for. I thought they were all warranted. And when it's fourth and short and you believe in your guys, it's really the decision is just, hey, my guys are better than your guys, let's go win. And I think people complicate it too much. Like, hey, it's too risky. What if you don't get it? Well, they're probably gonna get it because their personnel is so much better than everybody else's, and their offensive coordinator is elite. So they believe in themselves that much. Now that last call to go for it on fourth, I think the risk was way too high. That all being said, because yeah, you did that against the Packers, fine, but when you play a better defense like Philly or the Vikings, man, I like that's a scary situation to be put in, and you're not going to be converting all these fourth downs in the playoffs. I feel like so. That is that. If they die on that hill, they die on that hill. If they don't, they don't. They still look like the best team in football right now. So, yeah, I think they're fine. It worked, so it was a good call. That's how it works. If it works, it's a good call. And yeah, the Lions are a good football team, and the Packers were also amazing in this game. Jordan Love, I love that Jordan Love played good in this game because I feel like we haven't seen enough of him playing great in big games. But this was Jordan Love. The stats don't say it. I feel like the stats for some of these quarterbacks this week didn't say how good they played. And I'll get to one right after this. But yeah, Jordan Love was playing great football. The Packers can beat anybody in this conference, 100%. Like they can beat anybody. The question is, will they be able to pull off if they get a situation where they have to play the Eagles first or the Rams first or the Lions first? Are you going to be able to get through 3 straight games of tough opponents like those? And yes, I do hold the Rams up to that caliber of team. Even the Vikings. I don't think they'll be able to string together 3 wins in a row, and nor do I think that for the Vikings because the top of the NFC is just going to be an easier path. So I hope that they do something because they were my preseason pick. The Packers were my preseason pick to win the Super Bowl this year. But yeah, that's 2 great football teams. That was great to see on Thursday night. And we're gonna hop into the 1 o'clock slate, and we're gonna talk about this Panthers Eagles game. Because I have a lot to say. First, let's start with the Panthers because I don't want to get stressed out. But the Panthers, man, the Panthers. Why are people not picking up the fact that this is a good football team? Why do people just not want to admit it at this point? Like, okay, you lose to a last-second field goal to the Chiefs. You have the Bucks. You're about to kick a field goal, and then Chuba Hubbard fumbles the football. This week, honestly, Xavier Legette drops a huge ball that if he catches that, they might win. We had a minute to drive down the field, but and Jake Elliott wasn't making kicks, so they might have won that one. But Bryce Young, that's what I want to get to. Bryce Young, I think Bryce Young is over these past. Sorry, I think Bryce Young over these past 3 weeks has been the best quarterback in the NFC. That includes Jared Goff. That includes Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold has had some okay games. The first half of the Cardinals game, he wasn't great. And you can't look at the stats because I've tried to find the stats. I've tried to find the stats on Bryce Young that really solidify that he has been playing to the level that I am declaring that he is, the top QB in the NFC for these last 3 weeks. But, man, this dude against the Chiefs, I went to that game. I was there in person. Every single drive, it was a score. He got his team in position to score. Last week against the Buccaneers, they should have won that game once again. And the throws he made in that game, amazing. Bryce Young this week, I was scared of Bryce Young this week. There was this one play where he was backed up to the 1 yard line. He rolls out, gets away from all the pressure. We're in a cover two. He throws it right over Darius Slay's head, first down. We could have ended the game right there, and he throws that ball. Bryce Young, man, it's getting scary for the NFC. In a conference where the quarterbacks aren't that great, the best one is probably Matthew Stafford, and he's aging, and you really don't have a top dog in the NFC. Bryce Young is looking like that guy, and don't say I'm speaking on this too early. Jordan Love is also, if he grows, because he's still very young, people don't want to admit that it's his third year starting or second year starting. He has time to grow as well. But Bryce Young, I'll tell you who he reminds me of. Bryce Young is, I feel like his floor is a Baker Mayfield right now. An escapable guy, short guy who will stand in the pocket, make throws, make all the throws you want. And Bryce Young, I would argue, is more fast than Baker Mayfield even right now. And I would say his ceiling is Matthew Stafford, how good Matthew Stafford is. And that might sound crazy, but Bryce Young has a little bit more escapability than Matthew Stafford, which when plays break down, that's going to be important, especially with the way the league is going and the direction the league is going. All of these QBs are mobile. And, I mean, obviously he's not going to be able to stand in the pocket and make throws because he's not the size of Matthew Stafford. But Bryce Young can throw the ball from it. His pocket presence is elite. Let's not sleep on this guy, Bryce Young, man. And Adam Thielen had a day. It was bound to happen. Cooper DeJean guarding this guy. Cooper DeJean hasn't guarded anybody like Adam Thielen. And as a receiver in the past, Adam Thielen gets absolutely to it. People sleep on Adam Thielen. I need you to go watch Adam Thielen film. It's disgusting. He cooked Cooper DeJean all game. But that's fine. That's a learning experience. The good thing for the Eagles, and I'll get to the Eagles now, is that, let me speak about the Panthers. The Panthers are going to be a good team. And Gavin, I'll give Gavin credit on this take. The Panthers might be in a little bit of a Lions situation where they go 3-13 one year. And that feels like what the Panthers are doing, being competitive against these great teams. And maybe they're building something with Dave Canales at the forefront of this. Dave Canales is not going to be as inspirational, as loud as Dan Campbell is, so they probably won't get that attention. But this team is evolving, man, and with Bryce Young at that, Bryce Young is just a great guy too, man. Praying for C.J. Gardner-Johnson after he got injured. It's the exact type of guy that you want. And I think he's just as talented of a guy as Kyler Murray is, and I'm sorry to throw a straight at Kyler Murray, but he's just as talented of a guy, but with a much more positive attitude. Kyler Murray throws a pick, and it's like, man, I don't want to play anymore. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like with Kyler Murray. And with Bryce Young, it's smooth. It's smooth sailing right now. I have no worries about him in his progression. I think he's going to be a great quarterback at this point, so props to him. Now I'm going to get to Philly. As the Eagles, as a loss, as an organization, this was a good loss because, once again, it's not a bad team that you played, regardless of what everybody thinks. It took them a tip ball on fourth down to get into scoring position to score their second touchdown. This game really wasn't as close as people say. I mean, we still dominated in certain aspects. But, yeah, I think this is a good win for us. We needed something like this. It's a classic trap game after playing the Commanders and the Ravens. Steelers, looking forward to the Steelers this week. This was a classic trap game right here. So I'm not worried about the Eagles. Now let's talk about Jalen Hurts. Let's talk about A.J. Brown. Let's talk about Brandon Graham. Let's talk about this whole debacle. All right. So originally, with A.J. Brown saying what he did, saying the passing needs to get better, first off, I did think that's something that should have been handled within the locker room, something that shouldn't have been said because passing is a direct shot. But Jalen Hurts played horrible in this game. Absolutely, he played horrible. A.J. Brown was open on many routes, and the reason it was so egregious today was because Jalen Hurts felt like he was holding the ball. And let me explain something to you guys. The Eagles are leading the league in rush attempts by 3 over the Steelers, I believe. We have 36 rushes a game. Jalen Hurts throws the 21st amount of times with all quarterbacks. There's about 10 teams that have switched quarterbacks, so that's basically bottom of the league at 21st. So this is a guy that we've been on a 9-game win streak. He has 12 touchdowns and 1 interception. The recipe for success right now is him not throwing interceptions, not fumbling the football, and giving the ball to Saquon and winning games. That's what it is. So this overreaction with Jalen Hurts, it baffles me. Because why do I not hear anything about Jalen Hurts after the Ravens game? Why do I not hear anything about Jalen Hurts after he beats the Buffalo Bills last year? Why do I not hear this talk about Jalen Hurts when he beats the Cincinnati Bengals against Joe Burrow this year? And no one's saying he's off schedule there. So, yeah, he needs to work on his passing because this game was egregious. It was a horrible game by him. He looked like he wasn't ready. But let's not overreact to Jay, because just last week Jalen Hurts wasn't that. No one was talking about Jalen Hurts like this. So I don't like how the narrative just swings so fast in a win where he still had a couple scrambles that were crazy. But yes, he's missing. He's missing. He's not seeing the field as well right now. But that's good that problem was highlighted because now, like I said, in these good losses or in these bad wins, you get to see where you went wrong. And you get to fix that, but you still got that W on your record, right? So I think the Eagles are going to be just fine. A.J. Brown, he was warranted in what he was saying. I mean, yeah, bro, he's top 5 receiver. If he's open, he's going to want the ball. I'm glad he verbalized that. That might have been what it took. So Jalen Hurts, I have no doubt he'll fix it because, like I said, every time he plays a great quarterback, he plays great. So I don't see where this is going to change because, once again, I mean, he's averaging 7 air yards an attempt, which is 7th. He's pushing the ball downfield comparably well. He's 7th in the league in yards per attempt, and he's passing the ball the least in the amount. So say he passes the ball 20 times, his completion percentage is around 60%. You're only hitting around 12 of those throws. If you're completing 7 of them, it's not going to be a lot of yards, but that's the formula for success. That's the formula for success right now. Handing the ball to Saquon, not turning the ball over, hitting on throws that you need to hit on. Last week, when he needed to throw to A.J. Brown, it looked great. This week, it didn't. Against the Carolina Panthers. That's what happened. We are overreacting on a 9-game win streak. Philadelphia, if you prove the media right, because I'm trying to tell you the media is wrong. I know it is because I know it can be. But if you prove them wrong, then we're going to have a lot of discussions on who's going to be leaving, who's going to be staying in this organization from now on, even if that does come to Jalen Hurts. Obviously, Sirianni is on the hot seat. Does A.J. Brown, do we make Smitty a number 1 receiver? Has he been too much of a problem? You're going to have start having those conversations because this team is too talented, and it was too talented last year. So don't prove the media right. And with Brandon Graham, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing? And it's tough. As an Eagles fan, there hasn't been a better Eagle in my lifetime than Brandon Graham. But why air out? Like, did you think people knew that or something? Obviously, there was no ill intent with that. But the fact that people now know that there's something iffy about them, the fact that they're not friends anymore, that is a little concerning. And that's where I'm concerned. But I still believe in my birds. So I just don't want to talk about that anymore. Let's stop disrespecting Jalen Hurts as a quarterback after one bad performance. We don't do that for any other quarterback but Lamar Jackson, who also gets slandered, but that's a talk for another day. Giants, 14-11 loss. Don't even want to talk about the game because I'll be honest, I didn't watch it until the last drive, and they let a Brian Breezy from Clemson jump over the line. He's 300 pounds. The Giants, Shedeur is completely warranted in telling the Giants, hey, don't pick me. Don't pick me. What is this even organization about? I haven't seen an organization this bad in a long time, since Cleveland, maybe way back. I mean, Johnny Manziel was funner than this. So I don't even know if I have seen a team this bad as the New York Giants. So if I'm Shedeur Sanders, don't pick me, man. Let me go to the Raiders, and the Raiders doesn't even look like a great situation. Your number 1 receiver over there, well, you have Brock Bowers, but your number 1 receiver is Jacoby Myers. It's not looking the greatest in Vegas. And he's talking about going there and not going to the Big Apple, where you could play on prime time, where you have Malik Neighbors. Something has to be wrong with this organization, man. It's honestly atrocious. And your defense is getting, like, your offensive line, you haven't been able to establish that in years. I don't remember the New York Giants having a dominant offensive line. As far as quarterback, you haven't been good in years. Eli Manning wasn't even a great regular season quarterback. Now you put him in the playoffs, we have a different story. But When is the last time the New York Giants had a great quarterback? No great quarterback, no great O-line. Your defense, you have names, but I don't remember the last time it was a great defense. Well, I think a couple years ago it was a great defense, but regardless, man, this team is just never good. And I love that they're in the Eagles division. That's all I'll say. But Shedeur, he would be completely warranted in not wanting to go there because their front office doesn't have their correct head on their shoulders. I'll put it that simply. It pisses me off even as a football fan because you still want these teams to have a little bit of a story behind them, a little bit of grit, a little bit of fight, a little bit of, well, they could knock off this team like the Carolina Panthers right now. But the Giants are just so trash. Look, I still think Shedeur could be good there, throwing to Malik Neighbors. But you put him behind that O-line, good luck. Good luck. Steelers with a 27-14, I believe, win over the Browns. I didn't think they looked great in this game. I thought their defense was impeccable, obviously. But I didn't think Russell Wilson, I think he made some great throws, but without George Pickens, they are not as good of a team. And that's most teams. So he'll be back. I don't stress about that. They obviously played the Eagles this week, so that's a big game for them. I do think the Eagles are going to wax them. I'll be real. I just think they're a better team. But Mike Tomlin does have his team ready to. So maybe not wax, but we're going to win this game, and it's not going to be too concerning. I don't know, man. I think the Steelers, as time goes on, the Steelers do raise in my contenders list. Because when I really think about it, if they win this division, it's getting to a point to where they are legitimately better than the Baltimore Ravens. They are legitimately better than the Buffalo Bills, in my opinion. I mean, that's just what when a Buffalo team allows 44 points to the Rams, Buffalo's losses this year, Ravens got stomped. Texans, CJ Stroud didn't even play great. Rams, and then you beat the Chiefs who are struggling, who are teetering anyway, and you always beat them. I'll get to the Buffalo Bills when I do. But that's all I'll say about them right now. So I do think the Steelers are legit contenders. Obviously, the path through the AFC is through Arrowhead. So they're going to have to go through Arrowhead and make that happen. But, I mean, they've never done it before. They've never got beat by KC before. They don't have that mental block that teams like Buffalo and Baltimore have. They're a fresh new team with Russell Wilson at the helm, and they may be able to do some damage. If they could draw a team like the Chargers in the wild card round, and then they could get the Bills in the second round. I like the Steelers. I like the Steelers against a lot of these teams. So they have a chance, is all I'm saying. They have a great chance. I would honestly say they have the second best odds after this past week in the road to being in Arrowhead. I think they have the second best chance in the AFC to make something happen at this point. Nothing really to say about the Browns. It's just like that. I like Jameis, but he's gonna throw some picks. It's just not the team. The personnel is not there right now, and it's hard to say why because their defense was great last year, and I still think they're not bad. But maybe they are a quarterback away. Well, they probably are. I don't want Jameis Winston to be my franchise quarterback unless I would like him as a starting quarterback. He should be a starting quarterback in this league, but I wouldn't want him as my franchise, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I don't know where Cleveland really goes from here, but we will see. I think Stefanski's a pretty good coach, so like I said, we will see. Vikings, I think 42, Falcons 21. We can talk about that for a little bit. Atlanta is in shambles, bro. This is, in my opinion, the most disappointing team in each conference has been the Falcons and the Bengals. Simple as that. This Falcons team offensively is loaded. Loaded. Tyler Algier, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Ray McLeod, Kyle Pitts. Loaded. They should be able to make this work. But, Kirk Cousins has no red zone ability because he's unable to move at this point. And when the space gets tighter, it's easier to cover. You got to improvise. Kirk Cousins has no improvisation right now. That's fine. That's something I feel like everybody knows. That's acceptable. And that happens. I don't blame ATL for that because you didn't know he was going to be that well. Paying him that much money, I do blame ATL for, but I still think he would play better than this. Um, so ATL, yeah, they're in shambles. But I don't even want to talk about Kirk Cousins. What is up with this defense? You have all these all pros on the back end, and they can't stop a cold. It's horrendous. These DBs are out of phase. Sam Darnold's throwing it up there. Go get it, Jefferson. Go get it, Addison. Go get it. It's up there somewhere. Atlanta, they are the most disappointing team because I was thinking, oh, we're going to get at least one or two good playoff games with this team. This team is legit. No, they're not legit. They're not legit at all. Their defense is piss poor, and I have more confidence in Michael Penix coming in and improving this offense than I do in that defense improving. And that's a problem considering Raheem Morris has a defensive background. I don't know. That's bad to see because once again the names are there. Now these could all be old guys. Maybe they just need to get younger on the defensive end. But you still have AJ Terrell and Jesse Bates who was just playing great football last year. I don't know, man. Atlanta pisses me off. And in Minnesota, they are the thing about Minnesota. I don't think they're the greatest team. I don't think Sam Darnold is the best quarterback. I thought Sam Darnold against good teams for the rest of his or bad teams for the rest of his career, he's going to be a great quarterback. But I don't think he'll be able to perform against some of these top dogs. That being said, the fact that the best teams in the NFC are in their division is great for them. Why I'm saying that? If they draw Detroit and Green Bay, that game can go any way. They're so familiar with each other, and those are the two teams who can contend right now. Now the Rams, they've already lost to the Rams. I think they would lose to the Rams if they drew them. And Philly, I don't think they could beat Philly, but I mean, they could get the 1 seed at this point. They could control their own destiny. They could legitimately go get the 1 seed, and we're talking about Philly going to Minnesota. We're talking about the Rams going to Minnesota. So I do think their offensive talent can take them through some games, and they're so well coached. They're so well coached. And I don't know if that experience will translate. I don't know if Kevin O'Connell has that. But, man, Sam Darnold does look good. I will admit. But like I said, I don't know if I trust him yet against guys like Jared Goff, who played great in the playoffs last year. Obviously, he has had some rough moments. Against guys like even Jalen Hurts, who obviously people are trashing his name now because of one bad game. Yeah, Matt Stafford, I wouldn't trust him against guys like that. But against these bad teams, he's going to win. And Minnesota isn't going to be a team that gets upset, especially if they play whoever the NFC South winner is. That NFC South winner game between Green Bay and Minnesota, whoever draws that is going to be excited because that's too easy. Yeah, so that's all I'll say about Minnesota. Props to them. Tampa versus Oakland. Tampa just can't win a playoff game at this point, especially without Chris Godwin. They don't look like a good team. Obviously, they're the only team that knocked off Detroit this year, but yeah, I don't really see Tampa doing anything because they're just not their personnel isn't there without Chris Godwin. Their offense doesn't move the same. They struggled with Las Vegas yesterday. I think Carolina is honestly the best team in that division right now. Carolina is playing the best football in the NFC South. So that's all I really got to say about that one. Seattle and Arizona. Once again, I don't have a really lot to say about this one because at this point it's just Seattle beats bad teams because they're well coached. Seattle, honestly, they have about as good of a personnel as the Eagles, other than the offensive line. And if they get that right with this coach, Seattle could be a problem. Now, once again, I'm still in the Justin Fields sweepstakes. I know they might try to go for Sam Darnold, but I'd much rather see what I got out of Justin Fields, honestly. That might be crazy, judging off of this season, but I don't know if Sam Darnold is going to be as good as he is with Kevin O'Connell, if that makes sense. So yeah, Seattle, I don't think they're not going to win any playoff game this year because if they win their division, they're going to be playing either Green Bay, Washington, or Minnesota, or Detroit if they drop. So That's just not happening. They're not winning a playoff game, but they have their coach now. They have their offensive weapons. They have a great defense. It's about building trenches now and maybe considering a change at quarterback. Arizona, I just think Kyler I don't like his attitude when it comes to him losing. It seems like when you punch him in the mouth, he's not coming back from that. That's the vibes I get from Kyler. And it's been like that his entire career. It's just not a face that I would want leading my franchise. That being said, he's extremely talented. There are throws that Kyler makes. I want to like Kyler because he's so talented. Like, even from the pocket, he's made plays. He's a fast quarterback. I think he could have been great. I think him and Bryce Young have similar skill sets. But once again, you could see a clear attitude discrepancy in that regard, and that matters. So the Bills and the Rams, great game this past weekend. They were scoring left and right. Josh Allen, 6 touchdowns, 3 passing, 3 rushing. But first off, I want to talk about the Rams. The Rams, I predicted them to win the NFC West. No one wants to see the Rams. They're getting healthy. No one wants to see the Rams. I've been saying this from the get-go. Matt Stafford is the best quarterback in the NFC. You can look at our top 10 quarterback list. Matt Stafford is that guy. I'm not doubting the Los Angeles Rams, especially with Sean McVay, if they get to the playoffs. That's just what it is. This Thursday night is going to be one of the best games of the season. And if they win this against the 49ers, even though the 49ers might not be the best team right now, it's going to be extremely important for this team's mental growth because they've obviously not been too great against San Francisco. And if they could win this, I think they've officially arrived. I hope they do. I don't want to see them in the playoffs, really, but I hope they do because I like seeing Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua is a top 3 receiver in this league right about now. I would rather have Puka Nacua over CeeDee Lamb. I would rather have Puka Nacua over A.J. Brown. I would rather have Puka Nacua over Tyreek Hill. I would rather have Puka Nacua than DJ Moore. I would rather have Puka Nacua over a lot of top guys. And that might sound crazy, but you really have to look in depth to what this guy has done in his first 2 years of football. He makes plays that are not normal. And it does help that he's paired with Matthew Stafford. That does help his ranking. When you got guys like Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts, they're good quarterbacks. But they're not Matthew Stafford as a passer. They're not a wide receiver's dream like Matthew Stafford. So Puka legitimately right now is a top 3 receiver. I think he's behind still Jefferson and Chase. But Puka is that elite of a receiver, and I think we need to start talking about him in that regard. It's kind of like, it reminds me of how Odell stepped on the scene. In a way, just a receiver that you've never seen before. Extremely athletic, but he's not the fastest guy. He knows how to play the right way. He knows how to track the football, and you just have ultimate trust for him to come up with all of these plays. And if he gets the ball in his hands, it's wraps. So Puka, I think, is a top 3 receiver. If that's a hot take, let it be. But Puka Nacua is just playing great football. And the Bills, I've been saying this for weeks. The Bills are the most overrated team in football. The Bills are the most overrated team in football. I'll give you the teams that I think are better than the Buffalo Bills still. I think I gave you all the list already. But let's talk about the NFC. Eagles, better than the Bills. Lions, better than the Bills. Packers, better than the Bills. Let's go to the AFC. Chiefs, better than the Bills. Ravens, better than the Bills. Steelers, better than the Bills. We talk about this team like they're Super Bowl contenders. I just named 6 teams that are better than the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills have lost to the Houston Texans, the Los Angeles Rams, and got absolutely destroyed by the Baltimore Ravens. That's their resume right now. Bills fans, I'm not coming for Josh Allen. Josh Allen is having a generational season. This is his best season that I've seen him play. Josh Allen is not the problem. This coach, the way this defense, it's not Super Bowl caliber. I've seen it over and over again. And honestly, Josh Allen makes a lot of plays. Khalil Shakir made a lot of plays. But I haven't seen that connection with Amari Cooper like I've been expecting to see either. I thought that was going to make them take a leap after losing to Baltimore the way they did. I haven't seen that in full extent as well. I'm not seeing the Buffalo hype. I'm not seeing it. I legitimately think think all those teams I named are better football teams, higher ceilings. Because once again, out of all of those teams, I mean, say Sirianni is worse, but all Sirianni has done since he has gotten the league since he has gotten that job is won. And you can say the same thing about the Bills, but Josh Allen is a generational talent. Josh Allen isn't losing more than 8 games a season. He's not going to. He's too great of a talent. Any coach, any receivers, any offensive line, he's not going to be losing that many games. Josh Allen is a spectacular talent. But as far as this Bills team, I'll just predict it's going to be a sad playoff ending for them once again this year. That's just who they are. We've seen it over and over. And apparently this is the best team that the Bills have ever had. How? The Bills were better with Stephon Diggs. The Bills had an elite defense, a top 5 defense with Stephon Diggs. And we just want to say that this is the best version of Josh Allen. But no, this is not the best version of the Buffalo Bills. I'm tired of hearing that. They're going to lose to a team. If they play the Baltimore Ravens, if they ever play the Baltimore Ravens and they get beat again, oh my gosh. It is just going to be hilarious. And I'm making this clip right now just so I can look back on it and remember that I already predicted this. All right. That's how confident I am in that take. Anyways, Caleb Williams, still the 4th best rookie. Not impressed. Once again, they can't score in the first half. He's getting all these drives. Can we wait till he gets this in a meaningful game? Yes, he played great against Detroit. He got in his groove because, once again, they're letting you pass it. Because can we see a game where Caleb Williams goes start to finish and then we can crown this guy the next Patrick Mahomes? And I'm not hating on Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams will be a good quarterback. But the narrative on Caleb Williams widespread is that he's just going to be the next great one. The next top 10 quarterback of all time. No. He's not that guy. Once again, I like Caleb Williams. The stuff he did in the line, some throws he makes are insane. I think his mentality has grown since he's been in the league. But I'm not seeing what everybody is seeing when it comes to this guy being top 5. Do we ever see him being better than Justin Herbert? I mean, our top 5 in the AFC, the oldest guy is probably Joe Burrow. What do we expect this guy to, and maybe best quarterback in the NFC? He's still got to be better than Goff. Stafford might have 1 or 2 years. Bryce Young is on the come up. Number 1 pick, by the way, a year before you. Let's stop crowning guys too early, man. That's all I'm saying. I'm not wishing on his downfall. I just don't think he's the best quarterback since Peyton Manning coming out, Andrew Luck coming out. I just don't see that. Chargers. The Chargers just. Oh, by the way, sorry, 49ers fans. Brock Purdy played great football. I've been saying he's been playing great football. Throw Brock Purdy the bread. I think he deserves it after this year. He's been dealing with a lot of injuries, and apparently losing guys like Brandon Ayuk doesn't matter to a lot of people. People just think he shouldn't be paid. I think Brock Purdy. I was a guy that honestly didn't like Brock Purdy. Now, I'm not saying pay Brock Purdy top of the market price. Don't pay him top value. Pay him around what Jalen Hurts is getting. That's fair. That's a fair deal in my opinion. But yeah, I think Brock Purdy can be a good quarterback in this league. I think he'll always be around that 8 to 12 range, and I think for Kyle Shanahan, you can deal with that. You can definitely deal with that, and his escapability has gotten better. His play out of structure has gotten better this year. So as long as I keep seeing that growth, I'm not going to hate on Brock Purdy. The Chargers, once again, they need explosive weapons on the outside. They just need that one reliable guy, because I thought in the second half this week, Joshua Palmer is a great receiver for this guy. They need to keep him along for at least a number 3. They didn't have Lad McConkey in this one, but they had Quentin Johnson. He stepped up. Didn't want to do that for my fantasy team, but he felt like last night or whenever it was the night. But yeah, they just need. The Chargers are in good shape. I'm not stressed about the Chargers. They played a great game in this one in the second half. Justin Herbert missed a throw in the first half that would have been a touchdown, but it was contested like it happens. But yeah, I just think they need that one guy. I think there's a lot of teams once again that needs to get T. Higgins, but the team I want to see him go to, the Los Angeles Chargers. The Los Angeles Chargers. I don't know why I said that weird. The Chiefs. Stop disrespecting the Chiefs. Stop disrespecting the Chiefs. I mean, sometimes we just have to look at these games, and if you feel in your gut that when you're watching the game, there's no way a team lose. You watch the Kansas City Chiefs, and you're like, oh yeah, they're gonna come away with this one. They're gonna come away with that one. Why do we always feel like that? It's because they do. It's because they win every week. Why are we? And guess what? Now everybody got to go through Arrowhead. And what I know is that they have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. It doesn't matter about the roster right now. They're still progressing. They get a bye. The Bills losing this week meant so much because it just made the AFC boring again. Congrats. It's going back to Arrowhead. Congrats. The AFC runs through Arrowhead, and this year I don't see a team that's beating them. I just don't see that team that has become that real deal competitor that can knock off the Chiefs this year. I still don't see it. And a lot of people love to say, well, they're not killing these teams. This lack of explosive plays are hurting this team. What they do is they methodically keep you exactly where they want you. I'm going to just be up 7 points because I know if you do score, then I can go score right now and I'm going to just remain having the lead. I mean, they're up 14-0 in this one. They're like, okay, you can have that score. You can have that score. And then right when they need to score, let me kick a field goal. And then at that point, well, we can't give the Chargers a touchdown because that would give them an advantage. So just give the Chargers a field goal. And then get the ball back and milk the last 5 minutes of game time and win the game. Off of straight Patrick Mahomes silly plays. The throw to Xavier Worthy was silly. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback of all time. I don't even want to hear it. This dude is ridiculous. If that guy is on the field, bet on the Chiefs. Bet on the Chiefs. Stop. Just that narrative about the Chiefs falling off. It's not this year. It's not this year. Last game of the week, the Cowboys and the Bengals. This game meant absolutely nothing, but it was hilarious how it ended. Cowboys guy messes up. What do you know? At home, Jerry Jones says, why did you block that punt? Dumbest statement of all time. Why would you not want to block a punt, Jerry? Until Jerry is out of this organization, this team is going to continue to be horrible, and I am here for that, 100%. Jerry, keep doing what you're doing, pal. Yeah, they're just a hilarious football team. Cooper Rush is atrocious. It looks like he can't even throw the football downfield. CeeDee Lamb, great game. Rico Dowdle, great game. That's really all I got to say. Defense played great. Cincinnati's defense played great in this one, which wasn't hard when Cooper Rush is throwing the ball to the hashes, like literally the hashes on the field. But yeah, I don't really see anything from the Bengals. The Bengals, this was a horrible win for them. I mean, it literally means nothing. You got more of Joe Burrow and you got more of Jamar Chase. Two guys that are unprotected by their front office and their defense. Same thing we know. We didn't learn anything in last night's game. There was a lot of games this week where we didn't learn a lot. New York versus Miami, we didn't learn anything from that game. Jacksonville versus Tennessee, we didn't learn anything from that game. Seattle, Arizona, we didn't learn anything. Like certain games, 49ers and Bears, we didn't learn anything from that game. Chiefs, Chargers, we didn't learn anything. It's easy to tell which game, and we're going to talk about the Bengals well, if they do these things next year, no, their front office is incapable of protecting them. They don't make the correct moves. If you have Joe Burrow, and I heard people compare him to Colin Cowherd today, compare him to Carson Palmer, Andrew Luck. Well, I don't know how good Carson Palmer actually, but yeah, that's the situation he's in. This guy is an elite quarterback. One of the best. I think he's the second best quarterback in football, and it doesn't matter. So yeah, it discourages me because, like I said, that's probably one of my favorite quarterback and receiver duos. But it is what it is. Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be posting a video pretty soon. Thank you guys for tuning in once again, and peace out.